I'm thrilled to be with you virtually tonight as part of the Research Symposium. I want to sincerely congratulate each of you on your work, and I hope that you take a moment to pause and celebrate all it is that you've accomplished. So I want to start with a confession this evening. When Dr. Small asked me to say a few words about how the honors program at Eureka had shaped my career, the first memories that came flooding back were the ones of pulling nearly all-nighters in my room in Langston, fueled by Dr. Pepper and Lucky Charms, frantically trying to finish my honors thesis before the looming deadline. Hopefully, all of you are both better rested and more adept at time management than I was as a Eureka student. What came next, though, were the memories of intense relief that I felt the moment that I finally submitted my thesis, a 92-page behemoth titled Run Like a Girl and Win, a study of adolescent female leadership development. I was convinced that once I finally hit send on that email, I would never have to think about that research paper ever again. Perhaps many of you tonight can relate to that feeling. In the weeks and years that followed, however, a funny thing happened. My thesis research didn't just disappear to sit and collect dust on a shelf somewhere as I expected. Instead, it came to life, helping to earn me a spot at law school and then later to excel while I was there. It followed me into my career, serving as the basis for both a business and a venture fund I would launch years after leaving Eureka. And someday in the future, it will serve as the foundation to a book I'm looking to publish. The honors program and the work that I did during my time at Eureka was absolutely invaluable. For all of you who have spent countless hours thinking, analyzing, researching, writing, you also might be surprised at what happens next. So tonight, I want to share with you a few quick anecdotes about how my work at Eureka shaped my own personal journey in the hopes that you'll find it encouraging. As a Eureka student, I'd always known I wanted to go to law school. I had studied hard for the law school admissions test. I'd crafted what I thought was the perfect resume of activities and interests. I had written a heartfelt essay on why I felt that I should be there and attending the school. I was dreaming big, applying to the top schools across the country. And I was fortunate enough to be granted an interview with the Dean of Admissions from Harvard Law School. To this day, I will never forget that phone call. After a few minutes of small talk, I assumed he'd ask me about maybe my experience in politics, perhaps my personal essay. Instead, he asked me about my honors thesis. We then spent the next 15 minutes in conversation talking about my research, its implications, and my time as a student at Eureka. And at the end of that call, he offered me a place in the Harvard Law class of 2011. I'll never know what would have happened had I not had the chance to be in the honors program and been given the opportunity to write that thesis. But I truly believe that the research I did as part of this program changed the trajectory of my life. For that, I am so grateful. For all of you who are participating in the symposium, like me, you may find the impact of your research on your life to be larger than what you expect. The reach of the program didn't just stop there, however. I discovered within the first few weeks of my law school classes that the skills I developed in critical thinking, researching, writing were not only valuable, but also rare among my peers. Many of my classmates coming from bigger schools never had to write a paper longer than a few pages, which makes sense given the large class sizes and how long that would take to grade. But that meant that the idea of a 20+ page legal brief was extremely daunting. Though as a Eureka student, I'll admit to not exactly finding joy in every single paper I sat up late at night working on at the time, I was extremely thankful in that moment for the experience that I had gained through the honors program. Because of Eureka, I found law school to be much easier than I expected. Yes, I still wrote my legal papers last minute, late at night, next to a box of Lucky Charms. At that point, I'd at least switched from Dr. Pepper to Diet Coke and vitamin water. But the point was that I was comfortable with writing. Eureka taught me how to support my thinking and frame a position. The best part of that is that my experience is not a unique one. In talking with my classmates, whether they went on to graduate school or started a career after they left EC, the skills they gained from the honors program proved to be just as valuable. I'm confident that you'll also find the same as you embark on whatever path is next on your own personal journey. So after graduating law school, I thought for sure my time in the honors program, and especially my thesis, would never again resurface. I had started a fashion tech company. I was spending my days writing emails instead of essays. But once again, life surprised me. I started noticing the lack of women as startup CEOs or making investments. And I thought back to my Eureka thesis, where I dug into the gender dynamics of leadership. So after flipping back through my research years later, my passion for leveling the playing field for women was reignited. And I went on to launch a venture capital fund called X Factor Ventures that backs female entrepreneurs just starting out. And then later, an e-commerce marketplace, joindough.com, that made it easy to shop and discover products made by women. Each of those endeavors can be directly traced back to my time in the honors program and my thesis research here at Eureka College. I share these stories with you as an example of what maybe is yet to come. When I was sitting in your place, I would never have expected that the honors program and my thesis would have shaped my career so profoundly. As you're watching this, it's my hope that you'll be inspired to think about where your research can lead next. That is, if you're like me though, after you finally catch up on some much needed sleep. It's been such a pleasure sharing with you tonight. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and congratulations again.